Well everyone, I just made a video about every single thing that was wrong about the Samsung Galaxy S21. Now I have to play both sides and I want to talk about everything that's right about the Samsung Galaxy S21. Basically everything that Samsung did right for this specific phone. Now I don't think this is the perfect phone. If you want to watch my negative side of this device, I'll link it down below. You can go back to the last video that I just dropped. But this phone isn't a flop. There's a lot of good things about this phone that even if you want to pick it up in this day and age, like today right now, you're probably going to be set for a while. And the main reason why I think the Samsung, Galaxy S21 is actually a pretty decent phone, and one of the things that are right about it is actually that chipset inside. In this day and age, I'll be completely honest, I was expecting Samsung to do a little bit of a different thing. If you know, with Google and the Google Pixel, the Pixel 5 doesn't have the latest and greatest chipset. The Pixel 4a didn't have the latest and greatest chipset, so they kind of took a different approach. And I thought that's kind of what Samsung was going to do with this phone. I thought they were going to put kind of like what they had for the A series of devices. I thought they were going to put that in this device, but they actually didn't. They put in that, brand new Snapdragon 888 chipset. And you know what that means? This phone just came out today, like early on this year in January. If you get this phone right now, you're going to be set this whole entire year. Snapdragon, Qualcomm isn't going to make a new chipset until they make like an 888 Plus or something like that. So you're pretty much going to be set in terms of a mobile phone this whole entire year. So even when OnePlus drops their device or Google drops their phone later on, or whoever else, drops their phone later on this year, you're going to be set by picking up a phone like this. And with the amount of RAM that's inside of it and the performance, so far I've tested it against a lot of other phones, and this phone has been beating, most of those other phones, maybe not by a lot, maybe sometimes not at all, but it's still a very fast phone for sure. And the performance of this phone is definitely a super good thing about it. It feels like I'm being forced to say some of these things. Now, another thing Samsung did right with the S21, which didn't really stem from this phone, but they actually did increase the software lifecycle going from the Samsung Galaxy S10, to S20, I guess, to the S21. They pretty much, during the Note lineup, release, they said their S series and their Note series are getting an extra year of support. So the S21 theoretically on launch is, I think, one of the longest supported Samsung Galaxy S phones ever in terms of software on launch. So I think that's a humongous asset for this phone. It doesn't really take away anything that's bad with this phone. The software I think still needs some improvements, but the longevity, maybe Samsung will take some hints from other people who've mentioned that their software needs some work, and they may change it on one of the versions that this phone is supported on. So if that happens, you're going to be in really, really good company for sure. So the Galaxy S21 software lifecycle is seriously something that's going to be, I think, one of its pros for sure. Now, the other thing, I think with this specific device, Samsung actually did something that was super incredible in my opinion, and that was something that Apple did too. They decreased the price tag from their previous generation to this specific phone. So Apple did it before with the iPhone XR to the iPhone 11, and Samsung just did it now from the Samsung Galaxy S20 to the S21. They decreased it by at least $100, and if you turn in your phones and stuff like that for a trade-in value, that actually decreases that even more, and Samsung's trade-in values are actually pretty good. I haven't done it yet, but I've looked into it, and they're actually a pretty good, value. So at the end of the day, that's another area, the price tag, but also the trade-in deals that Samsung has done for the Galaxy S21. Those are some strong values, and I think Samsung just wants this phone in so many people's hands, and at the end of the day, it's definitely going to be a humongous pro for this phone. But the fact that Samsung decreased the price tag is seriously such an awesome thing, and I love how Samsung did that. Not a lot of manufacturers are doing that. A lot of them are decreasing or actually increasing the price tags, but Samsung didn't do that this year. They may do it next year, who knows, but I have a lot of respect for Samsung for doing that, and that is seriously another humongous thing that Samsung did right with the Samsung Galaxy S21. Now, they also maintained the 120Hz refresh rate on this specific panel, and so far from everything that I've seen, from everything that I'm testing, and I'm even using the phone as I'm making this audio for this video, and the 120Hz is seriously an awesome feature. I was afraid that when they did, somehow put the plastic back and, the 120Hz, when they said they were going to put a plastic back and they decreased the price, I just thought they were going to remove the 120Hz, and they didn't. And even though they lowered the resolution, the panel itself is still really good with the 120Hz and that fingerprint sensor in the display for sure. So that's another huge thing. And on top of that, the cameras on this phone are still so, they're just so unbeatable. It's just crazy to see how good of a camera set Samsung has put on this. Now, unfortunately, a lot of apps are still not, utilizing this camera, and I might make a separate video talking about it, but this camera is a really good camera setup for sure. I mean, 8K capability on this phone. Not a lot of phones have that capability at all. And you do have that triple camera setup on the back. That's that wide, ultra wide and telephoto lens. And honestly, that's the perfect camera setup. Any other lenses on top of that are just cherries on top of the cake, but this is like that base that as long as you have these cameras, you're pretty much set for the rest of your life. You can look at the Galaxy S10, that thing has the same camera setup as this, and that phone will also, stand the test of time. The Samsung Galaxy S21 for sure has a really, really good camera setup, and it seriously is one of its biggest advantages. Now, the battery life on the Samsung Galaxy S21 as well is another humongous advantage. 4,000 mAh, that is seriously some really, really, really good battery life. From my S10e that had like a 3,000 mAh battery, 3,300, whatever it was, I was getting some really good battery life from that device. My Galaxy S10 had a really good battery life. My S20 had a really good battery life. Obviously, the S20s, Pluses, and the Ultras are going to get better battery life too. But this device, I think maybe it's because of the low resolution panel, they actually did increase the battery life a little bit. I'm not going to say it's way better than the S20, but I'll say it's, overall better than the S20 by a little bit. I mean, I'm at 48%, and I've charged this thing one time since I bought it, and that was like a week ago. So I think that's seriously some really good stuff for sure. So the battery life for sure at the end of the day is really, really good on this device. And also you have reverse wireless charging on the Samsung Galaxy S21 as well. And I thought that was going to be another feature that Samsung was going to remove on this device. And guess what? They didn't. So that's just another huge W for the Samsung Galaxy S21 for sure. Now the last thing I want to hit on is something that I don't really normally talk about, but that's Samsung DeX. That is such a humongous feature, and I'm surprised Samsung doesn't talk about it more. They made some pretty big updates in my opinion with One UI 3. I think they made wireless DeX available at least on One UI 2 or 2.5 as well. And this is a really, really cool feature, and it's something I love seeing from Samsung. You basically have a desktop type of experience from your Samsung Galaxy S21 that you can go ahead and put on another display. You can go ahead and use it as kind of like a computer that's separate from your Samsung device itself. And as stated before, that is another humongous asset for this specific phone. Now, I don't think that makes this phone way better than a lot of other competition, because I think ever since Android 10 or 11, we do have this new desktop mode that you can go ahead and kind of do, but it's not quite like Samsung DeX. And I think Samsung did a really, really good job with that specific software on this specific device. So I think that's another huge reason that, Samsung Galaxy S21 just is kind of like a separate breed from all these other manufacturers. And honestly, I listed off a lot of things. I don't think this phone is perfect. I do think this phone has some shortcomings, but based off everything I just said here, this is pretty much everything that Samsung did right with the Samsung Galaxy S21. Again, it's not the perfect phone. There are some problems with it, but I think at the end of the day, Samsung did some pretty smart moves with this. I think, in my opinion, the best thing that they did was decrease the price tag of this phone. I think that does kind of explain some of their, things they chose, such as the plastic back, such as the removal of the micro SD card slot. But I think at the end of the day, because of that, price decrease, they may have had a hit on their hands. Maybe, I don't know. I guess we'll just see until my full review of this phone, but that really pretty much covers it up. If you guys have any other questions, or if you actually want to pick up the Samsung Galaxy S21, links will be down in the description below. You can get them from there and help support the channel at the same time. If you guys have any other questions, leave those in the comment section as well. Hit the like button, that will mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much if you guys can hit that. Also, check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my other channels. More importantly, everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.